I go to the program, I just want to thank Joe and Aswa for a wonderful job they're doing, maintaining the studio and making sure that we are where we are. And it's a wonderful job. Please do keep it up. Now, before I introduce my guests, I've got something to say here. That is, Southern Sudan, Africa's newest state, has undergone a test of time ever since it got its independence from Sudan. This is on the 9th of July, 2011, ending one of Africa's longest civil wars. Salva Kiir of the Sudanese People's Liberation Movement, SPLM, I think you're all aware of that, succeeded John Garanga, who died in a helicopter accident 21 days in office as president of Southern Sudan. And first vice president of the Republic of Sudan on the 31st of July 2005. That is when Salva Kiir succeeded John Garanga. Now, after 2 years of independence, there was a fallout between Salva Kiir, the president, and Riek Machar, the vice president. Many of you are aware of this, who have been following the African politics. This led to another internal war that led to loss of lives of those supporting both men. The two are back together now. If you're reading the news, this is in our news almost on a daily basis. The two are back together, and the dream of the nation is still alive. The question is, will this relationship work this time around? Africa is holding her breath that it does work. With me in the studio is Mr. Andrew Cohen. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Steve.
He's had a number of political posts that included, of course, being a Minister of Health, Minister of Internal Affairs. He's now a political parties affairs advisor of SPLM. Am I right then?
IO.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Africa is holding her breath about what's going on at the moment. There's a lot we've been reading about, and there's a lot that we're seeing in the news. We who did follow the African politics. Where are we going now? Is everything settled? Because the stories that are coming in are different. There's this going on, there's that going on. But you're probably one of the most well-informed people as far as Sudan is concerned. What's going on?
Hopefully, Steve, thank you for the invitation.
Yeah.
And I thank your viewers to have at least some time to watch this discussion. And also, I would like to thank Omega TV for the second time organizing this discussion. Basically, Steve, South Sudan was the last country up to now got independent in the world.
Yeah.
And every country was happy to see a newly born country. And we had been in this war of the civil war of Sudan for a very long time.
Almost 21 years, huh?
It is more than that.
It's more than that, yeah.
It was since 1955.
Wow.
Before the British colonial left Sudan. And the independence of Sudan was 1956.
Okay.
So it was before independence when the civil war broke out in South Sudan.
Mm-hmm.
So most of us never thought of having a war among South Sudanese. For what? You know? So basically, that war was uncalled for. And I would think that the president himself one time said that this is a man-made.
Which president? There were
President Salva Kiir.
Salva Kiir, okay.
Yeah, said one time that it is uncalled for, it is a man-made war. And that's why most of us are committed to sign up with the revitalized peace agreement, which was signed in 2015. So it is rejuvenated, and we think that it can work. And the two principles are now together in Juba. They become the first and the second. The president himself and the first vice president. They are actually working out to implement the peace agreement. And hopefully the implementation should complete soon. We are hoping that this implementation should be speedy. and very soon we can have peace, because our people are really suffering in the IDPs, fences.
These are
The
internal
IDPs,
displaced.
the internal displaced people.
Yeah. Yeah.
The refugee camps, people are suffering. So we have that spirit that we must implement peace agreement,
Yeah.
even though it goes very slowly, but hopefully, I think nobody wants to go back to war.
Now, David Shear, who's the head of the United Nations Mission to Southern Sudan, said something here, and I'm quoting him now. I would like to see the peace agreement move faster. I would like to see greater accountability on where resources of South Sudan are being spent at the moment, because I don't believe it's benefiting the people as it should. Is he right? Because he's within the capital. He's seeing what's going on. We are seeing the oil money. We are seeing this and that and that. Somewhere along the way, despite the fact that there's a peace agreement, something is happening which is not in terms of where the money is going. Corruption wasn't something that is not known, is known a lot to Sudan. It's known to other parts of Africa so much, but is it existing at such a high level?
Basically, I could only answer for IO because as IO member partner to peace agreement with the government,
Yeah.
We had just have ministers appointed, and I could say they are just visitors to the offices.
Really, really.
You cannot say we are part of decision making yet. We don't know about resources much.
Yeah.
We are just trying to get acquainted to offices, and I can't say we are decision making and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
What will happen is this: from any time soon, when the implementation is concluded,
Yeah.
we will be like consulting to one another, because the two principals need to consult for any decision making.
Yeah.
For example, when there are resources and so on and so forth, the president and the first vice president will consult, and a decision would be made. And basically, in the executive meeting of the government,
Yeah.
things can be sorted out. And if there's anything that need two of them,
You don't hear of any rumors of where the money, because at the end of the day, I think the biggest problem for a UN official like that one to say something like that, there must be somewhere where he's seeing that something is not getting right. Maybe this was the beginning, maybe this is the conflict, that this could have been what led the conflict between the vice president and the president.
basically there's no conflict yet.
There's no conflict.
But we go very slowly. And not in our part of as IO, because IO has actually done far more than enough.
Okay.
Having gone to Juba without the security arrangement, I think is a sacrifice.
Yeah, it is a big sacrifice.
And we are still standing to tell the world that they need to support for the implementation to take place quickly. And we were given 100 days, and 100 days just went.
Yeah, just went like
And
that.
to our surprise, whenever the international community want to pressure both parties to the peace agreement, we be part of the blame. I don't know why are they blaming us. The IO has no power over this.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
You know, and we've pledged so much that even our chairperson has gone to Juba without even a bodyguard.
Really?
Yeah, we have the Dr. Riek Machar in Juba without bodyguard. And this is to show to our partner, President Kiir, that we are really mean peace. We will never go back to war. War is devastating. War destroying both lives and properties. And our people are suffering.
Of course,
and we know this and we see this. And the international community is aware of that. And we know the support the UN, the AU, the IGAD, and the Sudan as well as Ethiopia are doing. And I will never forget also to mention President Yoweri Museveni.
Of course.
Is also trying to help on the hands.
Yeah.
So the region is really busy, but to us as IO, we are
Yeah.
questioning why things are going very slowly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Just as,
Yeah.
yeah, just like us. But
Yeah.
he's questioning it, and you are questioning it as well.
Yeah, and the good news is that last night, the announcements of eight governors
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
plus
As-
3 administrative area was announced.
Mm.
But we are disappointed that one of our states was not announced, and hopefully sooner than later,
Yeah.
our new governor, the candidate for the state,
Yeah.
should be announced soon.
Yeah, but I still have a feeling that that issue of governors is still remaining probably a bigger issue to handle, because there are two posts that are not filled yet.
Yes.
And the two are still challenging each other over who should be the next governor of, I think, the Upper Nile state, one of those regions, because there is, it was supposed to have been one of those areas to have been completed by the end of this month, but something is happening because the Upper Nile state hasn't been, nobody has been put there, and there's another state as well, which two of them which don't really have governors at the moment, who haven't been selected yet, because the vice president and the president are in disagreement. Couldn't that be a major problem later on?
Basically, it is not a major problem because we as IO,
Yeah.
if we have our candidate, we have our candidate. Nobody will change it. Nobody will choose somebody for us. For example, we have chosen our candidate for the the Upper Nile states.
Okay. Okay.
And that's our candidate. I don't think there's anybody who will say we change our candidate. I don't think that's the reason. The reason may be just some errors. Otherwise,
Really?
yes.
Then why aren't those positions filled? The two.
I would give a benefit of doubt that it must
Okay.
be some errors somewhere, because I don't think there's any chance for us to go back just because of
Because of that position.
yeah, it can be just announced any time from now, and I don't think we question our candidate. Our candidate is ready and to take up his position, and
Yeah.
we just need to have the president issuing a decree for that position, and we are all right. We have gone far enough to this far to come to this point.
Exactly.
I believe it's just a minor problem. It's just maybe some errors.
Yeah. Okay.
And we'll still stick to our candidate to be announced.
Now, another issue which is extremely important, which I didn't want to happen to be about South Sudan, is something to do with the human rights. And I can, from what I found out a couple of days ago, the human rights report released by Amnesty International puts Sudan on as the fifth after Iran, Democratic Republic of Congo, Northern Korea, and Myanmar as leading nations abusing human rights. Is this true? Because they mention a number of people, including the arrest and imprisonment of Kai Bin Noon, a civil activist who's still detained, by the way, even up to now, at the headquarters in capital Juba of the internal police, and they've been trying to campaign for his release. But not only that, but they said there are so many cases that are happening in Sudan at the moment in regards to rapes and other cases that really the government is not doing anything about. Now, I don't know whether you're aware of this.
Honestly, Steve,
You're not.
South Sudan is at war.
Yeah.
And we learned that there were insecurity within the capital itself.
Okay. Oh, in Juba itself.
In Juba, and when the country is at war, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anybody else outside the country can level that country to anything. I cannot prove to it that it is number 5 or number 2 or number whatever.
Yeah, okay.
But I know we are suffering. We have insecurity in the country because of war. And that's why we raise the national spirit for all the South Sudanese to join up in this peace agreement so that we have peace.
Yeah.
So that we come out from all this criticism of the international human rights organizations.
Yeah.
placed on South Sudan. And,
Okay.
and I think President Salva Kiir would be the one taking lead of that spirit of bringing peace quickly. We need peace quickly. We had all this support from international community. And what I just want to correct is that the international community always try to label IO part of any other problem.
Okay.
The war is brought to us.
Yeah,
we never instigate war. We are not warmongers. We don't want to fight war.
Yeah.
We are only protecting ourselves. In our self-defense, we will be out there. But the ceasefire is still holding.
Yeah.
We believe,
which is quite good.
Yes, we believe that ceasefire is a cornerstone, is good, and IO is always committed. Imagine, our leader is just in Juba.
Okay.
You know, and could not wait for security arrangement to happen.
Yeah.
And I think President Kiir should need to appreciate this gesture of a nationalist spirit of peace by Dr. Riek Machar.
Yeah, I think it's appreciated. Now, one thing which I'm trying to find out again, which might be maybe a setback to peace, I don't know whether it's true or not, the death of John Locke Jock, a minister for East African Affairs, who had, of course, various posts in that government, like you, petroleum, mines, transport. He was an influential figure within the government. And he even helped, by the way, in drafting the constitution, as you did when you were minister. His death mightn't disrupt something within the stability, now that is one of the pillars has gone. And a replacement will be needed who has similar kind of influence within the government. Because during the peace talks, he had a lot to say and he had a lot to contribute. You know, and he's the man who's been on the ground for such a long time, and then he dies out of the blue. A replacement might not act the way he should. What do you think?
John Luke Jock, right.
And you knew him personally.
I know him personally.
Yeah.
He will be missed greatly by the South Sudanese people.
Yeah.
And my condolences to the South Sudanese people and his family. Basically, John Luke was one of the cadres of the liberation struggle from the very beginning.
Okay.
He was the first speaker for the SPLM from the start. He contributed a lot.
Yeah.
His departure will be missed so dearly, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
We can never.
But can't that destabilize if when you've had somebody in there who is a pillar somewhere, and then he goes, and
we have lost a lot of heroes, including John Luke himself and John Garang Di Mabior.
Yeah.
We lost them in a time when we are really in difficulties. You remember John Garang?
Yeah, of course, yeah. The thing has always been the power balance.
Yes.
Yeah, if the power balance is destabilized,
yes,
there is always going to be a major problem.
But we can only just say that we move on.
Yeah.
We move on and try our best.
I agree.
We will always remember them as martyrs. And,
I agree. It's extremely important. It's extremely important. Now, another problem, which could also be a setback, the resignation of Deputy Interior Minister Mabia Garanga's son.
Captain Mabior.
Yeah. Could this be also something that, because the things that he mentioned when he left office, he said, look, the agreement between the two of them have failed. They have failed to reach how to govern the regions, because to him, the major thing affecting Southern Sudan at the moment are the regions. If you fail to have proper governors, proper people to govern the regions, that is where the problem comes from. And that's why he was so enthusiasm he had the enthusiasm to stand for that. And he says that wasn't coming up between the two, the vice president and the president. Right, huh?
Yeah. Captain Mabior Garang Di Mabior had resigned, and his resignation was due to the slowness of peace agreement implementation.
Okay.
It is legitimate because Mabior is very instrumental in the IO. He's the Secretary of Information of IO, and it is actually something that frustrates everybody. When you see your people are suffering, and we cannot explain why we go very slowly due to the implementation of peace agreement. What are you going to say? Definitely Mabio was right. He addressed the issue, and his concern is our concern. But we are saying, let us just move on. We can never go back. We can never go back. He resigned from his position as a Deputy Minister for Interior. A very important position we think he was able to do. But we'll move on. We try to press the government to come forward.
But could it be that the slow process of the movement of the peace agreement has somebody's interest? It's someone is gaining from the slow process. The slower the process, the better it is for either one of the candidates. Because if it goes so fast, then some people might not benefit anything from it.
In politics, always there are games. You know, there are cards that are being played. And even though we never have some difficult card to play ourselves as IO, because we know that the people are suffering. What are you going to do with a country which everybody international community are saying the country is going, you know, and we see our people are suffering. What are we going to do? What kind of card do we play? And the very reason why the implementation is very important is that let us release our people from suffering. You know, they are in fences. They are in their own capital, in fences. Internal place, refugees. I don't think this is good for all of us.
No, it's not.
That's why we want to show that, look, there's no need of a slow or process of the implementation.
Now, the replacement, say for example, a suggestion has come from Roden Hunter, who is the political coordinator of U.S. mission at United Nations in New York. And this is a quote: "Replacing the UN troops with the African peacekeeping force is the way forward. African political leadership is essential to drive the peace process forward and end the violence." So he says, look, replacing the UN peacekeeping troops in Southern Sudan with the African keeping forces, could this heighten and speed up the entire process? Because he says, look, when the UN are here, under the directions of what to do, the Africans have got the time now to start handling this situation themselves. Although the African Union, there's no money. I think one of the reasons why the African Union, or one of the reasons why even Museveni couldn't keep his troops there for long, is connected with money.
Do
you think this would work to get the UN out? Or it could bring the situation into a different arena?
Really, I enjoy his statement. And I believe it is out of genuine concern from him, because the world have tried. The world have tried to bring peace to South Sudan. The Pope have called the principal.
I remember the Pope.
The Pope have called the principal, trying to tell them, look, resolve your problem.
He even cleaned somebody's legs.
He kissed their hands, their feet, and the UN Security Council have gone to Juba capital. You know, and we have Honorable Chris Trott all the time, every day, going to the office of the president, trying to see things flowing and visiting the areas of cantonments and so on and so forth. I think it is, the concern is becoming something, somebody like the gentleman would say something like this, but having the African troops to replace the UN, I think it has gone to that level of African to the UN.
Yeah, yeah.
So coming down to African wouldn't give us any solution rather than we trust the UN.
Africa will create more problem. Is that what?
I wouldn't say it create more problem, but the level it has reached, it has gone to UN.
Yeah,
you don't need to bring it down to African at all.
It's sort of gone beyond Africa's level.
IGAD need to see that everything in their hands, and they need to talk to both principals, the president and the first vice president, for the implementation. What is it? We have peace agreement signed.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just an implementation. Why is it difficult?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be difficult.
That's
West IO is not difficult. Why is it difficult? We prepared long time ago.
Yeah.
We organized all our forces to be put together and create the National Army of South Sudan. We created our cantonments long time ago.
Yeah.
We sent all our officials to Juba. They are in Juba right now, you know. And the chairman of the movement is in Juba. We are ready.
Yeah.
Where is the delay come from? I think it is the UN that need to ask that question, the two principals, and find out what delay is this.
And meanwhile, the situation is getting somehow it's moving from one direction to another. Recently, the army killed Kabida Okong, I think that's his name, the leader of the 7th October movement. This was an internal rebel movement started by this young man, who was also, by the way, saying that the peace agreement is not going anywhere. It's very slow, as you are saying. And he started this movement. And out of the blue, I think the army attacked one of his headquarters and something like that, and he killed him. Couldn't this bring out something among the youth to sort of create an uprising? And I know maybe it should have happened by now, but if it hasn't, then it's probably not going to happen. But couldn't it?
Steve, honestly,
in
a democratic country, there's nothing wrong with protest.
Yeah,
people can protest. People can declare, like Carbina Wall had just gone somewhere and declared to be rebel, to rebel, you know, and therefore the response was to find him, and at the end he met his fate. We see to it that a country like South Sudan, who suffered for too long, doesn't need to be emotional. You know, I know anybody can declare out of emotion, delay of peace and all those guys. We are trying to invite all people to come to this peace so that we move on peacefully. And we address our issues peacefully. It doesn't mean that when we are actually becoming one government or one country without rebels, it does not mean that we cannot question X or Y.
No.
We will always try to challenge the government. And the government need to appreciate being challenged and improve. That's what happened with the political parties in government.
Of course, yeah.
So I think it was unfortunate of rushing to
get rid of him.
To get rid of somebody who just declared himself. He doesn't even have power.
No, he didn't.
He doesn't have even power.
But this shows the threat. There's the threat. If somebody is a threat to you, then a quick response probably was needed.
I wouldn't think Carbino Wall was a threat. Many people have declared themselves. They are still there. We have General Thomas Cirillo is still having forces. We still have other people who have declared their movements and they are not part of peace agreement. What we are just trying to say, inviting them for peaceful negotiation. And there is no need of actually waging war when the entire world look into South Sudan to conclude peace agreement. What is it? We can always resolve all our problems inside. You know.
That's what brings me back again to the fact that I think someone is slowing down the whole thing because it has that interest. There is that interest, and until somebody's found,
We know
who among the two is slower in implementing.
That is why I would expect the world to actually address the government. Who has power than the government?
Of course.
Who is in control of the country?
Yeah, yeah.
It is the government.
Of course it is, yeah.
Now the government is a member of UN. It is the international community to ask, what is he doing about this insecurity in the country?
Yeah, yeah.
So I believe, and that's why we're trying to appeal to our president, Salva Kiir Mayardit, enough is enough.
Yeah, yeah.
What do we want to address with the killing? We have been in killing since 1955.
Exactly, over the years.
You know, and it was even worse. How could you be fighting the South Sudanese who have been suffering for 50 years as compatriots? And now we are fighting one another. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't make sense. We still appeal to the president
South Sudan,
to speed up the implementation of peace agreement.
South Sudan was recently expelled from the African Union. I don't know whether you're aware of that. And because of the unpaid dues of totaling up to $9 million US dollars, the country's representatives had a problem when they tried to get into the African Union summit, and this due was not there. Could there be money problem within, or it's the management of the money which is an issue? Because
again,
$9 million to a country with oil and all that, I don't think this is something that, when I read about this, I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Again,
it's all part of the being poorly organized or something like that.
Steve, we are just visiting offices.
Oh, really?
As part of the government. We don't even know how is this money become pending.
Over a period of time. It should have been dealt with much earlier.
It is the government that was a member of African Union, not IO. So it is the government that to answer that question at all. So being part of African Union, definitely you need to be seen having contribution.
Of course.
And what prevent contribution, it is the government to answer. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We can only urge that if the implementation of peace agreement is speed up quickly and the country have peace, money don't go anywhere. Money will go into the development of the country.
Of course.
Including our membership or our party with other, whether we need to tangle with the African Union or else. And that will be all right. War is very costly.
Yeah, it's very costly, and it's totally unproductive in a way that it's the gain. Some people gain, others, some majority lose out, obviously. There is something about Egypt and South Sudan, something that was being built, and I think my friend would probably have had more to say about this if he wasn't if his health was okay, and he would have been here today. By the way, we were supposed to have Mr. Mulindwa today here, but his health is not very good, so he's not with us today. Now, there is a rumor going on, obviously, in South Sudan, but this I got from the Sudan Tribune, that Egypt is trying to have an army base in South Sudan, in a small town called Pandat. It's in the Mawai County. Pakat. Maywood County. Yeah. And this is all to do with the River Nile. And the process had been started a long time ago. At the time, you must have been a minister by then, when Egypt was trying to say to divert waters of the River Nile to pass through a different channel so that it doesn't go through Ethiopia. This is something to do with the dam as well that Ethiopia is trying to build. And
it is about the Renaissance dam.
The Renaissance
dam. That is Ethiopian are building. And there are differences between Egypt and Ethiopia.
And Ethiopia over the dam,
And first of all, the South Sudan is not border to Egypt. And all these rumors are still rumors. We don't even have proof that there are bases being created in Maywood. To my knowledge,
Yeah,
that there's none in Maywood or Pagak.
there's nothing there.
There's nothing. But we need to investigate more that why is this and what is this? You know, if the government was here,
Yeah.
then the government could have answered these questions. Who allowed Egypt to have base in South Sudan and
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
You know, we are a very good neighbor to Ethiopia,
Yeah, yeah.
and Ethiopia is part of the peaceful settlement of South Sudan, is contributing to peace. And what the hell we, South Sudanese, can actually instigate some kind of activities against Ethiopia? No, I don't think so.
You don't think it's right?
I don't think it could happen. I don't think there's anybody in South Sudan that will decide to bring Egypt to be a threat to Ethiopia, in our border. I don't believe so, because we don't have interest of doing so, and we are good neighbors with Ethiopia, and also we are good friends to Egypt because we share the Nile. You know, we are the people of Nile Basin. Egypt is there to enjoy the water as well as we do.
Of course,
What needs to happen is that South Sudan can contribute to actually bring the two together in a fair, in a fair, peaceful manner.
Yeah.
If they can actually settle the differences, and I am sure Sudan is doing the same. South Sudan also can do the same, and there's no need of Egypt of raising an alarm by trying to think that there is a problem or there can be a conflict. The conflict can be resolved.
From what I heard at the beginning was that this plan was there at the very beginning with the late president. The plan was there and something had been started. But obviously, when the president died, the entire thing went down. Because the idea was if they could get the waters of the Nile from a different angle before it reaches Ethiopia. They have always had this issue, the two of them.
They still have differences. They still have differences. And 2 days ago, I heard from a BBC Radio 4 is saying that Ethiopia has agreed to suspend the filling the dam for at least a month or 3 months. So that they can clear out all the differences.
The differences,
we need to encourage that because Egypt also need to have some friends in the area.
Of course.
And Egypt is not interested in going to war with Ethiopia. And Ethiopia also have no intention. Ethiopia have the right to do whatever they want to do in their country, provide the fact that it doesn't harm Egypt. You know, because we will always have water to Egypt. You know.
How about this issue now involving the environment? Because the government seem to be facing one problem after another, and seem to be bringing all this to your attention more than
pollution.
Because pollution and the issue that
the oil is spilling.
Yeah, the oil spilling. The East African Court of Justice issued an injunction to the government to say, look, you either stop and deal with the issue of the oil pollution, the leaks that are happening, or the injunction was actually brought about by Sudanese activists who went in, and the government, of course, the East African government had to issue that. So the East African Court of Appeal had to issue that, of which Sudan is a member, South Sudan is a member. And they said, well, unless the issue is dealt with, you don't have to dig any more oil unless you deal with the splits. Could this also, in a way, destabilize a bit? Because if...
what I knew since I was in the government, that there was a spill of oil that goes to the area. And the leading operators are Chinese companies.
All right.
What happened, the Chinese has actually tried to do some kind of reservoir. The water that is extracted from the oil goes to the reservoir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And are safe But when the rain falls,
Yeah.
the reservoir fill up,
Ah.
and all the water goes all around
Yeah.
the land.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had such difficulties with indigenous
Mm.
people. It actually polluted their land,
Yeah.
their water,
Yeah.
the fish, the livestock.
Okay.
We had that problem, you know. We usually at that time talked to Chinese that they need to do something about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and if that is still going on, the government of South Sudan need to address with the Chinese companies.
Yeah, it needs to be addressed.
You know, because it's outrageous. There are some areas that children are actually born deformed.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
And the livestock is completely gone, and the fish is polluted. So I think it is a major issue within South Sudan, leave alone the neighboring countries.
Okay.
So it needs to be addressed with the Chinese companies. And the Chinese, if they have the capacity to control this, they have
But
to.
they probably
Otherwise,
they probably need to be forced rather than you know, because I have a feeling it's unless you do something, because it's
what
happening
the
all
South
it's
Sudanese
happening all
government-
over Africa.
what the South Sudanese government should do is to create agencies, to bring agencies
Yeah.
of actually absorbing the operation of the oil.
Okay. Okay.
You see,
Okay.
you need to employ agencies
Yeah.
that actually cleaning up and absorbing the behavior of the operation of Chinese companies.
Okay. Okay.
And that is to control the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
You know, we can't say that the oil need to stop, but because I think it's not a difficult issue
You need the money
to handle. I think it's not a difficult issue to handle
Yeah.
by companies.
Yeah.
They operate and they need to control what they are doing. You see.
Yeah.
And if because of the rain filling up the reservoir,
Yeah.
well, treat the oil water and release
before it goes out.
and release them to some other lands, clear, and even if the rain fill up those areas, then it will be just clear water.
No, it
And
would.
I don't think there's any law that say that the water is to be returned to the river. They need to stay out for some time. And in summer, the area will dry up.
Yeah.
So you just need to keep them clean somewhere. And in summer, they dry up
Yeah, but
very quickly,
even
within 3 months.
Yeah, before we go on, I just want to acknowledge a number of people who are watching on live. And Kizito Tony, the name is the Ugandan name. He's watching from United Arab Emirates. Thank you for watching, and he's got one or two suggestions. Keep up the good work. Ezra, the name is Ezra, if I've pronounced it correctly, who says, bravo, freedom fighter. And then there is Nyeruku Jok, Nyerua Jok, I think he's from
Right, Joab.
Narak Jam, yeah. And it says, look, South Sudan could be among the richest countries, but we have poor leadership. They fight for positions and they hate one another. What do we do about that? And of course, it repeats again here and said, my prayers to all leaders to unite our nation and protect South Sudan lives. Enough is enough. South Sudan should learn to love one another and forgiveness. That's what he says. He comes up with exactly what you're trying to say
I
here.
entirely agree with all these comments.
Yeah.
And especially with the comment made by the gentleman in Emirates.
Yeah.
And also Nyarach Joab. It is a surprise to me and to people like Nyarach and the South Sudanese brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Why war? Nobody will succeed in this war.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
You can never succeed in a war like this.
No, you can't.
Sudan never succeed to quill us into slavery. It never.
It never worked.
Over Arabization and Islamization. It didn't work. Why is it going to work in South Sudan?
Yeah.
It will never work. There's no need about it. What we just need to appeal to all of us, including President Kiir, is that enough is enough.
Yeah.
We can never win this war. let us just sit down as brothers and sisters
And
and let us just implement. It's just an implementation.
Yeah, to put it
Create our national army
Yeah.
that will defend the country internally and externally, and let us operate and be respected by the whole world. What's wrong with that?
Well,
There's nothing wrong about that.
I think
at all.
wounds probably take a long time to heal. And I can see this because I need your comment on Northern Sudan now. Sorry, it's Sudan, not Northern Sudan, but Sudan. What is going on there right now is that people back on the streets, they're saying, look, what we fought for to get was the leader then of Sudan when he was ousted from office. He said, look, when we fought hard. We went on the streets to get this man out of the way. And it goes back to what you are saying. The process itself is very slow. Now, they don't see any changes because there's a civilian and an army acting together that created the government of national unity. But somehow the civilian want a quick response, and the army in Sudan don't seem to be going the steps that the civilian government is doing. And this has started affecting the peace process in Sudan as well. And so I'm thinking...
As a former Sudanese myself,
Yeah.
I grew up in the capital.
Yeah.
I participated in the army of Sudan.
Yeah.
And I know the mentality, I know the problem. Sudan always has been in this problem.
There's always
And,
been
and then they never solve it. Having given the government to civilian, and very soon the civilian government will be accused of corruption, and the army got involved.
Yeah.
The Sudanese army used to be a national army of Sudan.
Okay.
They identify themselves to the Sudan as a whole. Whenever there are like problem with the civilian, you know, running out of bread and all those kind of things, then the army got involved, and the army will say they stood with the public. And then the government is given to the civilian, and the civilian let it go again with the accusation of corruption, and the army get involved. This has been the problem. This time,
all along.
This time, after the South is gone, then we were expecting that the Sudan should have learned from this conflict. You know, instability of government in Khartoum, and the war with the rebels, all around Sudan. Okay. What the movement that overthrown Omar Bashir would have done would have set up some kind of a mechanism. And the mechanism of John Garang was an easy one. And it was the best solution to the Sudan, that the Sudan is for all. You know, whether you believe you are an Arab, whether you believe you are a Muslim, whether you believe as Hindu or Christian or anybody.
As long as you're Sudanese.
As long as you are a Sudanese, you are Sudanese. What's wrong with that? John Garang was asking. They missed that chance. John Garang could not survive for 21 days. God knows why. You see? Now, what we are trying to say is...
There was no foul play in his death.
They missed the chance. There's nothing that I can't prove to you who is responsible. But John Garang had a good idea for Sudan, the largest country in Africa, the most countries that have resources in the whole of Africa, would have been the center of breadbasket of Africa.
Of course,
Okay? The least population, the nicest people in the world. You know, even though you talk of Arabs, Northern Sudanese, the Northern Sudanese are the nicest people in the world. You know, if you are a stranger, you will be welcome, you'll be fed, you'll be given food, you'll be given this. But politics
damage everything.
Only roll in three parties, perhaps four. You know, the Al-Mahdiya believe in slavery, Al-Maraghaniya believe in association with Egypt, How could you be united with Egypt? I don't know.
No.
If you don't have a peaceful means in Sudan,
Yeah.
how could you be part of Egypt?
Yeah, you can.
Secondly, how would you make a Sudan of diversity
Yeah.
to be an Islamic Arab state?
When you have all these people surrounding,
Yeah,
it's
it doesn't
impossible.
work. So this time, they could have made a mechanism where the other part of Sudan, the Western Sudan, the Eastern Sudan, the center of Sudan, would have a mechanism that they should come together and solve it once and for all. They didn't. Now there is this rope being pulled here and there.
Yeah.
The civilians are saying that they haven't got enough power because the army are still there.
Oh,
of
right,
course, the
yeah.
army will be still there for some few months.
Where are they going?
They-
Where
I
they going?
believe-
They'll still be there.
I believe the military council will still there because it has been there.
Yeah.
In 3 times it has been done. When Nimeri was overthrown, the Minister of Defense had to let the military council for 6 months to 1 year.
Yeah.
And then it was given for free election where the civilian rules came up.
Yeah.
Again, it went into a mess. So what we are trying to say is this: unless they must be patient,
Of course, yeah.
you know, they don't need to pull the rope with the military council.
Otherwise, things will
They
get worse.
they
yeah.
have time, and when their time is up, they'll be just relieved. And we are hearing that even the bread is even much more
What-
costed than before.
Yeah, what happened to Darfur then? Because there is a problem.
The issue of
It's very-
Darfur is
it's-
still there.
Yeah, it's very
The
rare in
issue
the
of
news at
Nuba
the moment.
Mountain is still there. The issue of Amgesna is still there.
Yeah. Those regions, yeah.
The demonstration did not address all these areas.
Yeah.
They even want South Sudan to come back to a united Sudan when they did not do anything
Yeah.
to address Amgesna or Jubal Nuba Mountains or Western Sudan. For God's sake, you know, if you want to have peace in Sudan,
Yeah.
they must be part of
Exactly.
the system.
Yeah.
Sudan is diverse. You will never have pure Arab in the Sudan. Never.
They're quite,
The
quite a
people
mixture.
themselves that call themselves Arabs are not even pure.
They're mixture. They're
Yeah,
mixture.
and anybody is a Muslim.
Yeah.
I was raised by a Muslim mother,
Yeah.
you know, and it's my mother, and she was a Muslim, and she would always give me money, go to the church. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. So I believe, and this is my appeal to my brothers, Sudanese, both in government and the Prime Minister and the military council,
Yeah.
to sit down and begin to really resolve some issues. They shouldn't feel suspicious of one another.
Yeah, of course.
You know, there's only one solution for
just
people
want
of Sudan.
I just want to read some more about, some people who are with us.
Yes.
Watching this live on Omega Live TV.
Yeah.
Nyakwetu joke, I think this is a different person now. Bloodshed will stop after all leaders accept one another and that nation, Southern Sudan. Well, he goes on to say a lot of wonderful things in that there will be quite a lot as far as it's concerned if they accept each other. Then good show, that's somebody just say that. Tatne, that is Duke Budu. That's a Sudanese name, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. He just simply said good show. And then there is what is about the preparation of coming elections. What about the preparation of the coming elections in South Sudan? We haven't mentioned that. Honorable Andrew Cole, thank you for speaking out. And that is Gadif Dong. I don't know, we probably know the person. Elections coming up, what about them?
Honestly,
you don't,
Steve,
Yeah.
I appreciate all these comments from your viewers. The reason IO is serious about implementation of the peace agreement that we have signed.
Yeah.
We have signed peace agreement. Why not implementing it?
Exactly. Yeah.
And we have only a frame scale of time for like it was 3 years that when we prepared ourselves, we put things together.
Yeah.
And then we prepare for registration of political parties. Because South Sudan will never be peaceful unless you have multi-party system. Let them express themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let them register all the parties they want. What we want to disregard is that the party should not be dominated by one tribe.
Ah, okay.
Because tribalism should not take us back.
Yeah.
Tribe is so good. I am a Nuer.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
But I cannot impose it on other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? All the tribe of South Sudan, they are so beautiful when they are dancing.
Yeah, yeah.
You dance with them, you love them. What's wrong with tribe? There's nothing wrong with tribe.
Yeah.
What is wrong with tribalism is, what are you doing with it? Why using it against others? So we will have to implement this peace agreement quickly and prepared for next election, and let the South Sudanese, vote for whoever they want to be the president, whoever they want to be.
Do you think Africa should come in now? Should come in as well? Because if the tribal issue comes up, it always brings there's that dominance of one tribe from another, and it has been a major problem, not just in South Sudan, but in most parts of Africa. Education is trying to.
Who are the Africans? already we have the IGAD.
Yeah, yeah.
These are the neighboring country to South Sudan.
Yeah.
They are responsible for bringing this peace together. Okay? They are busy.
Yeah.
Okay? You have the African Union. Already they have some meetings, and they are raising issues, and they urge the South Sudanese leader to implement peace agreement.
Okay.
You have the UN. And the UN is Security Council.
The problem with the UN, it has been coming on again, and they're saying, look, most of the troops that are coming in with the UN are from Bangladesh and India. Now, if people see more of the African troops that are based in the UN, for example, West Africa, there were Ghanaian troops and certain troops of ECOWAS in one of the areas in West Africa. Can't remember which country at the moment. But ECOWAS sent some troops in West Africa somewhere. And the whole area was peacefully resolved.
We have African troops.
The fear of having the UN troops with the
we have African troops under the UN. We have the Ethiopian there. We have the Rwandans. Yeah. And I think we have the
Ugandans were
the Kenyan.
The Kenyans were there.
Yeah, and Uganda is only tainted by being part of the war.
Yeah.
But otherwise, Uganda would have been, because all these countries, they have interrelationship. One tribe you find within the troops. The troop from Ethiopia, they have the Nuer, who is also South Sudanese.
Okay.
So I think the issue of African getting involved, they already get involved.
They're already getting involved.
It's only that they are treating South Sudan as a child who mess about and they do very little. Otherwise, the leaders need to be told that enough is enough. They can't go on like that. People are suffering.
Wong Kwa now is saying, I'm going back again to the viewers before we go. Wong Kwa Ho is saying that South Sudan government has a vision. What are they fighting for if they have a vision? Now, South Sudan is the third poorest country in the world, which is unbelievable. South Sudan is blessed, but turned elsewhere, and you don't expect what you get from South Sudan. Because it's a blessed country, it has a lot of minerals, it has a lot of that, and look at what we're seeing. It's a different thing. Anyway, he says, look, the vision is the key thing he's mentioning here. Then David Gallet Tap Shang, well done, Andrew Kwong, well done. And then good show, thank you, that's your joke. And Tatnell, what your words are on people in UNICEF camp inside Juba? what can you mention? What can you talk about these people in UNICEF camp in Juba? What kind of advice? What can the government
I
do
would,
to
I
let
would,
these
I
people
would
go home?
start. I would start with the people at the UNICEF camp in Juba.
Yeah.
Their condition is not very good.
Mm.
Ask us.
Yeah.
Ask the IO. Why
Okay.
did we sign peace agreement?
Yeah.
Is it not because we cannot stand and we don't have conditions? We have a lot of conditions.
Yeah.
But we said, look, we have to be, we have to see this. Our people are suffering.
Yeah.
And peace is the only key that will release their suffering.
Okay.
And we are committed to this peace. I think some answers should need to be directed to the government.
Yeah, of course.
We can't answer for the government. We are begging the government to really implement peace. And you saw this with Dr. Riek, appealing to President Kiir. And I think President Kiir also, to be honest, have compromised also as well.
Yeah.
So we just need to be patient to see to it that, because President Kiir compromised from 32 states to 10.
Yeah.
Okay, this is, you can say hallelujah. And another thing, there had been an issue of states.
Yeah.
These two are able to really resolve their differences. First of all, they know themselves. They know how to work together.
Yeah.
And the challenge from us...
And the thing is, they've worked together for such a long time. So they know each other very well.
They've been in struggle for long.
Yeah.
They know their mind.
Of course.
And to be honest, our challenges, including myself, is that what are they doing?
Yeah.
What are they doing delaying this peace? People are suffering.
Exactly.
You know?
Something ought to be done.
And listen, this tribalism must end.
Yeah.
There's nobody that will champion tribalism.
Gain anything from it.
Yeah.
We've come to the end of the program, and I want to thank you very, very much for coming. And obviously, before we go, I also need to thank my team at the back, Joe and Naswa. Thank you very, very much for the good work you're doing. And I want to end on a note, of thanks. That is the late Edward Teso, the founder of the Union of Journalists of South Sudan, as you know, you're aware, some of you. The found Union of Journalists in South Sudan. I never met him, but I have met journalists who have, over the years, worked with him and found him to be a man of his word. And South Sudan, he had South Sudan at heart. Let's hope that the work he left behind will bear fruitful and outlive us all, because he died a couple of months ago, and I've read quite a lot about him. Thank you very much for viewing us, and I do hope that we'll be together again next week